will lead the 49ers in receiving yards this season?
I can go first again if you want. It's George Kittle. I think George Kittle will lead them in receiving yards. I think that regardless of who plays quarterback, I think you're going to see a heavy emphasis on getting George Kittle the ball. I would probably say, regardless of who the quarterback is, I think they're going to go to Kittle. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of yards after the catch. And so, yeah, I'm just going to say George Kittle.
Yeah, I would say Aiyuk. I think Kittle's a great choice, but I also think that Kittle, Debo, those guys are destined to miss a couple games just because of the way that they play. I think that Vish is right on in saying that Kittle is going to be the number one target. And normally that would lead to being the number one receiver as far as yards, maybe touchdowns, what have you. But being that he'll probably play 13, 14 games, I think Aiyuk's going to have a breakout season. Hopefully Lance gets some burn so that he can hit him in some deep routes and really take advantage of some of the skill sets that we didn't get to see last year. But I'm going to go with Aiyuk to lead the team in receiving.
I'm going to go with George Kittle because last year, even though George Kittle was injured a lot of games, he still put up like 600 receiving yards. And when he plays really, really well. Most of the time, he puts up at least 100 yards per game, if not more. So I have to go with George Kittle. Even though he was injured last year, he still put up 600 yards, which is pretty good, missing that many games as much as he did. So even if he misses some games this year, I still feel like he's going to put up at least 600 yards or more. So I still got to go with George Kittle.
I would go with Aiyuk on this one. I think Kittle's definitely a really good option. I mean, top 2 tight end in the league. You can't really say much bad about him. But Aiyuk had 96 targets in the 12 games that he played. That's about 8 a game. Now, I know Kittle missed time. I know Debo missed time. But they were targeting him a lot, and he performed well above expectations for a rookie, and he dominated when he was healthy. So I think they're going to keep feeding him the ball, and I'm excited to see what they can do with the trio of him, Debo, and Kittle.
Okay, I'm gonna have a different answer. I'm not gonna say Kittle because I feel like you almost have to expect him to miss some games just because he's older. He broke his foot running last year. That's weird. And plus, he plays so hard. I'm not gonna say Kittle, although he should be like the leading receiver through 8 games. I'm just gonna bet against him to make it through the whole season. And then Aiyuk, I love Aiyuk. I think I've been saying that Aiyuk's better than Debo with Vish. But I think that Aiyuk is really going to flourish with a quarterback that's not Jimmy. And from what I've seen in OTAs, I kind of feel like Jimmy's going to have this job for a little bit until he gets hurt. So I'm going to say Debo. I feel like as long as Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback of this team, he's going to go to Debo a lot. And Debo could get hurt too, but I'm just going to say Debo to be different.
So I would have said Debo because I think regardless of style, Debo is the biggest guarantee to get targets because every quarterback can do the push pass. Every quarterback can flip it out to the bubble. Every single quarterback can, give it to him on an end around. My thing with Debo is 2 things. One, I don't know how much of his yards will be rushing yards, how much of them will be receiving yards. I mean, for the most part, they've been receiving yards so far, but a small change in how they get him the ball could make that number differ. And then 2, it's the same thing with Kittle. Debo has the same question mark on whether his body can make it through a full season, just given his college history and his NFL history.
Vish, let me ask you this. Do you think the question or the answer changes if we just say all-purpose yards? Does your answer change
I'd
to
have picked Debo? I'd have picked.
That's an interesting question. Let's do that one. I like that.
Yeah. So all-purpose yards. Yeah. Go ahead,
Debo's more rushing yards, in my opinion, because they don't really, with Jimmy Garoppolo at the quarterback, they don't really, they usually most of the time use Debo to run jet sweeps, and that's what he does with Jimmy, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo's under center this year. They're just going to do that with Debo Samuel. Aiyuk is more of the true pass catcher in the Niners offense, more than Debo, I would say.
So here's one thing I'll say before Blake, you and Grant go. An odd thing about Debo is he only has 185 yards the last 2 years, but I think that all you really got to do is change how you get him the ball. Like the push pass turns into a jet sweep, right?
Exactly.
Or the screen instead of being parallel to the line of scrimmage, you accidentally throw the ball like a half an inch behind, and now it's behind the line of scrimmage. And, like the Brandon Aiyuk hurdle was a rushing touchdown. So that's where I fear with Debo if the stats will be receiving stats or if they would be rushing stats.
Sorry, I've been like doodling and stuff. I'm trying to find I got the link and now I put it because I'm trying to get all people watching. You know what I'm saying? I just tweeted it out.
I appreciate it.
Just tweeted it out.